I care not to contemplate the opinions they'd form. No, I will right this wrong. Let them at least judge me by truth, though who can say whether it makes me less of a culprit? Let the world think what it will. I am far too old to care anyway. I am past the point of cowing to opinions. It all began, of course, with my father. Not my stepfather, William Elliston, who I believed, until that devastating night I wed Mr. Macy, had begotten me, but Lord Pierson himself. The second time I laid eyes on him was on my 18th birthday. Mamma had always made a secret celebration of that date, sneaking into my chamber before dawn. The scent of lilac clung to her rustling skirts as she'd motion me to make room for her to climb into my bed. "You were born at this very hour." Her voice could soothe even the darkness as she settled into the down pillows. On every birthday, even until my 17th, I was wont to curl against her, resting my head against her collarbone, where I listened to her heart. Rare were the moments we were granted a respite. I have little doubt we both savoured those mornings. The sun had just peeked over the hillocks outside my window. Mamma would continue intertwining our fingers. I was exhausted, and by the looks the midwife and Sarah exchanged, I knew they believed it was hopeless. Here determination coated Mamma's voice as if she were reliving the moment. I fastened my gaze on the tiny flush of light and swore by the time the sun was fully risen, you'd be born. You were the only family I had left, and I wasn't about to allow either one of us to die. I always held my breath, hoping she'd elaborate. Those birthday moments were the closest Mamma ever came to speaking about her past. You were born just as the sun crested the horizon. Your wail was the loudest the midwife had ever heard. She nearly dropped you in surprise. Here she thought you'd be stillborn, but you came out kicking and screaming. Next she'd splayed her hand against mine, palm against palm, measuring my growth. It seems odd now that on my 17th birthday, my last birthday with Mamma, our hands were exactly the same size. I counted your fingers and toes over and over. You were so tiny and perfect. Even as a child, I noted how her chest would rise in silent sigh before saying, "Your father came that night. He burst through the doors and looked wildly about the room for you. He also marvelled over you, and he too counted your toes and fingers over and over, as if the number would change." Though I never had a chance to tell her, those birthday mornings were the most treasured part of my splintered childhood. Thus, for me to rise on my 18th birthday in order to watch the coming dawn was the most costly tribute I could pay her. It fractured me, yet failing to honour Mamma would have felt worse. Wind shook the window panes as I stumbled from the bed and groped in the semi-dark for matches. The odour of phosphorus filled the air as I lit candles along the mantel. During the night, the fire had burnt into ashes, leaving my room so cold it hurt my throat to breathe the wintry air. I rubbed my hands over my arms as I went to my father's late wife's wardrobe and selected a thick shawl. I glanced at the fireplace as I passed it again, wondering why the servants had not kept the fires lit. Never having lived in a great house, it was impossible to tell if the fault was the staff's or mine. It was just as likely I'd forgotten to give the necessary instruction as it was the some servant had neglected her duty. Regardless of the reason, the timing could not have been worse. The freezing temperature served to sharpen the harrowing sensation that Mamma was truly gone. I turned my gaze toward the clock and estimated it to be about half an hour before sunrise. I knew that if I returned to the warmth of bed, I risked falling asleep and missing daybreak. Uncertain what else to do, I retreated to the window seat and brushed aside the heavy lace hanging before the window. Though it was early morning, pewter grey clouds layered the sky. Only traces of the previous night's snow remained on the ground, tucked amongst the roots of oak trees and glistening between the crags of rocks. A solitary snowflake floated down from the leaden sky. Like me, it didn't seem to belong anywhere.